but we're not entirely sure which side is going to be coming out ahead. I'm just really excited to see what Rascal can do on this Kled on the top side of the map, because it just shows that Kingzone knew exactly what SKT was doing, and we saw that in this draft beforehand. They sort of put all of their money on the fact that the Aatrox wasn't going to be flexed towards the mid lane, which still could happen here. 24 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1. He's going to be Faker on the Rise, although Khan had played more of it so far.
And Rise actually, for a lot of the game time, it has a really good matchup into Azir. Doesn't sound like it on paper, but it actually has evolved to be a Rise favorite lane over time, so I think you're very happy with the matchup overall. I'm interested to see Kled versus new Aatrox. You know, with the change of the ult, it does change so many of the matchups that you just kind of had so squarely in your mind. Cool all in, I pressed ultimate is not there anymore for the Aatrox. And what we've learned with Aatrox's win rate going from literally nowhere, rising way up above 50% again, it's play around the Aatrox or lose. It's kind of the way you have to. You have to give it a bit of TLC, tender loving care, to get it through the laning phase team fights. That part is going to be so explosive, Atlas. My only small concern is, yes, you can understand rolling in as Khan, the Kled in the top side. Azir's positioning is going to be a bit curious unless he's another initiator on the side of Kingzone DragonX.
I think he's going to be very important. I think there's a lot on Neon's shoulders here this game, because the Emperor's Divide will be necessary for creating space for the Xayah to do damage, and also Azir needs to be in these team fights to get things done. Otherwise, you're going to have those turbo wins that we were talking about. Let's get into it though, game one. LCK Summer 2019 is finally heating up, Papa Smithy, because Kingzone on a 2-0 match score at the moment, 4-0. As far as games, and SKT 3-3 is their game score, not the start that they would have wanted.
An impressive thing to me about Kingzone in their win streak, we already mentioned it in the pregame, but 23-6 in terms of games, 5 game losses to SKT, only 1 game loss to Afrika, and have beaten everyone else flawlessly, is that Kingzone came in summer with the very late medical kind of substitution of Neon being the only mid laner on the roster, and they didn't look burdened. They had new ideas. They seemed to be ready to go in spite of having that kind of shock roster change. And can you do that again with the nameplates on against SKT? Can Neon be so impressive in his first week and pay that forward to playing with just the same level of skill that he did against Faker? Because so many people in their first meeting against Faker get in their own heads and mess up on the execution.
We'll see whether the star power is going to ring true as Marta throws down a ward. Tucson's not going to offer too much back. They were actually waiting for that light binding, see whether they could juke it and pressure SKT out of this lane.
New school Tucson runes, we should mention, on the Rakan. We saw this on the Rakan in the previous game. Aftershock Rakan has been seen sparingly over time, but given the fact that you just take more damage going in now that you have those windows where you don't have control of your summoners, you can't flash at every moment during the quickness, the Aftershock and just the fact that if something hits, you have the extra tankiness to live, has been the movement for most teams.
Well, Grand Entrance comes down here as Marta gets ignited. They're looking for it. The heal is good. The flash out from Marta will get him to safety. That is Ignite for Flash, and you'll take that as a Kingzone fan.
So first scouting report that we alluded to in Champ Select, where we wondered about Lux, where we mentioned that we believed Kingzone left it open on purpose given Marta's struggles in the 2v2. So far seems to be bearing fruit, doesn't die, but you pick Lux to give Sivir lane presence till Sivir has that Essence Reaver, that first damage, even a BF sword, to push the wave faster. If Lux doesn't have her flash and heal up in this case, she ain't got no much lane presence.
Nope. And right now, eating through the potions, doesn't have any left as the Gleaming Quill is going to go slightly wide. This means that now we're at a position where SKT do need to play back in the lane. That's exactly what Jin Air were up against. And it makes us feel a little bit weird here, talking about the fact that this Sivir Lux lane is picked on purpose into the Xayah Rakan. It can work very well.
Because on paper, Lux baby Sivir to those items. Essence Reaver is at a huge power level. Sivir is at a huge power level. Both buff, double buff. It's one of those times where you know that champion's going to call on the meta. And then Olaf's coming in, Aatrox coming in. Aatrox loves that utility to get that first kill, and you roll through the enemy. On paper it makes sense, but it doesn't always make sense for where your team is in and out of the game. So for now, no deaths, but just the fact that Cuz could go big buff to big buff and ensure that nothing was contested by the Olaf, and they got the summoners down bot lane, That's a freebie for Cuz to continue to be selfish and his bot lane extending a lead.
There's a slight advantage, though, for Haru at the moment. A couple of camps in the lead, so as far as tempo from the jungle, the Olaf is certainly there, but we'd expect that from this matchup. Teddy gonna miss a couple of farm here, but we'll clear out this minion wave relatively effectively. Def doesn't have teleport, and Teddy does. Important to note, as they have to walk their way back to the lane. Can't quite complete the Corefield's Warhammer.
Notice the teleport timing here. Faker backed before tier to TP back in and get control so Olaf could invade. This is a scuttle and invasions. This is a play, actually, where he's TPing early, specifically to power up Haru.
And also, we've seen this actually before. The double Sapphire Crystal pickups. Very close to the money that you'd be spending on the tier anyway, but gives you a bit more extra power. Exactly right.
So then let's talk about that. Could have bought a tier, but went Boots and Sapphire for more stats. And again, a timing window, an earlier TP to allow Olaf to do his thing. So it's still the same point. Could have bought tier, but right now, more focused on the combination with Olaf.
Yeah. Olaf going to poke his head in up towards the top side. Means that Khan's going to be absolutely fine, and he is in this lane right now. 26 to 33 is that farm score. Kled hasn't been bearing fruit just yet. Wants to be able to pick up the Tiamat so we can clear out the waves much more quickly. Neon's going to teleport back into this lane, and he's taken the Comet this time around. See what the item build is going to be. It's a very early Merc Treads. As we've seen a few of these builds without the attack speed, Papa Smithy, like Yukal going for the Luden's Echo, I believe into Liandry's Torment was his decision. But more recently, it was Luden's Echo into Berserker's Greaves.
In the previous series,
In the previous series. A few different schools of thought.
Yeah, the theory before is Rascal's probably going to take a lot of damage being dismounted.
Yep. Is at least able to avoid some of that damage. Bear Trap on a rope does come down as Rascal's looking to try and do battle here, but doesn't land the shotgun blast.
Not often we have two players on the Rift that both have played the Kled in Korea, but both Rascal and Khan have played it. Kingzone looking for a from downtown gank with 4. Haru knows about it.
Almost land onto it, but Teddy underneath the turret has to flash in. Emperor's Divide means that Marta is going down very, very early. Tucson flashes out of the way, tanks the turret as Haru flashes over and picks that one up. Khan teleports in real deep, and Faker is going to be here. Neon trying to get over the wall, does flash. Does he actually have the Sand Soldiers to get him in? The answer's no, as Faker has the prison. Cuz moves on over, and this is a big win for SKT bottom side.
SKT, we like the aggression from Kingzone, but they can't actually move their entire team bot lane. They didn't blow up one instantly because they focused onto Teddy, so Marta took longer to die. The troops could all back up the members of SKT, and you're right, trade up SK Telecom T1.
Yeah, Rascal's going to be able to get something back towards the top side. One turret plate does go down as, okay, Infernal Drake.
Cuz doesn't have the ability to spot this, but they know it's probably being done.
Yep, Haru's going to pop on over. This might be a special delivery. Nope. Not quite quick enough on the smite button is Cuz. Maybe the bear doesn't walk as fast as he would have liked.
And with the benefit of hindsight, there was that ward a bit more shallower on the SKT side. That probably did spot the health bar total there. It wasn't controlled by anything, so they had the idea. They don't pull it up. Here's the replay again. They feel like they can blow up one. They only go on to Teddy. If they had gone initially onto Marta, he would have died. But actually, the Emperor's Divide buys time for the side of SK Telecom T1, and then no TP onto the Kled means that the outnumber is always going to bear fruit for SKT.
Yeah, and I think Neon knew that he was going to die there. Probably didn't need to flash, but wanted to get as far away from his team to let them get out as possible. Still, bit of a botch dive. 800 gold is going to be the lead here for SKT, the team that just always seems to have the number of Kingzone DragonX.
The game is going to reach a very interesting flare point soon after this dive has made the games to 800 incremental lead for SKT. It's going to be, where does Cuz go with his first ult? Because he can play through both top side and bot side very reliably, and that's where I'm going to be so intrigued. Picking this Kled, who can now kill Aatrox with his lack of just free get-out-of-jail-free card until he gets a kill, means that going top is very viable. And if Kled can actually force Aatrox out of lane, and you can't hold the 1v1, then Aatrox is just waiting for minion waves to be pushing in and hoping for a team fight, which is always a lot more risky, have very little ability to control the game state. Bot side is where Kingzone have invested all their time so far, so it would also be understandable. So there's two kind of tasty options for Cuz in particular. I'm intrigued to see which one he chooses.
A bit of a fadeaway jump shot there onto the turret. I believe that turret plate hasn't gone down just yet. Can't see the number as Lux's face is over the top of it. as Kaz is here in the mid lane, thinking about going for some sort of attack onto Faker. He will walk over a ward if he enters the river.
Flashes up, but I don't think it's the time, so yeah, he doesn't invest too much time there. One turret plate down on the bot side, and another demolish proc from the Rakan.
Yep, Tucson using that battle dance very effectively as Haru will walk over this control ward. Tucson and Deft will get themselves to safety. I really like the position that Tucson's playing this in, very far up, and able to use the extended range on the battle dance.
Oh, I mean,
to
Deft
put pressure on.
are monsters, right? When it comes to the 2v2 laning phase, they pull away at the right time. Tucson spots Haru from coming around. Faker's coming as well, so you can definitely pack up and try and force something. But Featherstorm is up. Tucson can walk up, bait in, and then use the extended range. Here's the topside play.
Yeah, ultimate's gonna land. See you later, Khan. World ender or no, I think you're still gonna... No! Okay, able to get himself out of there. Rascal into that untargetability, but at that point couldn't do extra damage.
Yeah, I could understand why you saw the kill coming, but Cuz was out of mana and couldn't really do anything after the ultimate, and Rascal, not all the damage bears fruit, so important for Khan to survive here. However, turret play and then some does go the way of Kingzone.
Yeah, so still going to be a trade up, and the flash wasn't actually expended, was already used, of course, by Khan. But Cuz didn't use his, Rascal didn't use his. Not going to pay too much, apart from more information as to where that jungler is on the side of Kingzone.
Both of these top laners can play the role of grinning and bearing it and turning in team fights, but the reliability of Aatrox's team fights now, after that first kill, and there's a lot of damage on SKT to get that first kill, means that he's sometimes hard to be top. So very important for Khan to hold the line. He's always been criticized as a player who's struggled on the weak side, and I think that's a little bit too much criticism for him. He's had streaks where he can be both the hard carry and the team player, but given his kind of indifferent farm recently, you can understand how the naysayers have come out to talk a lot recently.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's why we were talking about crazy things, which is indeed being subbed in for crazy. Because Khan has been one of those pressure points. Marta another one. We'll see whether they can actually find some redemption as Naeon's going to move on over. Tucson knows exactly what's going on here as the teleport's going to come in. Battle Dance gets Naeon out as Winter's Wrath not going to do too much there from Cuz's side. They really want Shelly. The teleport has already come forward. Flash in from Marta, but doesn't find the binding. Tucson gets the quickness though. As Teddy gets on over, Tucson should be going down. Has he done enough? The answer's no. Realm Warp is going to continue the assault here from SKT as Rascal does still have Skull, but is it actually going to be enough to keep him alive? The answer might be yes, as Faker goes so deep. Ultimate there is going to be missed from the Sejuani, but there's the flash forward from Naeon. Picks up 2 for Kingzone DragonX.
Both sides are firing shots, and this time it's all even. The Kingzone had only 4 members present, and Shiver way closer to the fight than Death. So unfortunately, it's just a one-way trip to the Death Chamber for Tucson, but Naeon does hold the mental, does come in strong, and does find a way to stave off what felt like the turning point for SKT.
Yeah, so it was a 2 for 2. Of course, Tucson had actually respawned in the end, so it looked like a victory for Kingzone. However, still very, very close, and that's going to be the state of the gold after this fight.
And you look at the mini-map, and with the map hacks, you look at this, you say, Kingzone, come on, guys, take your time, take your time. There's no way for the Xayah to join. Sivir could ult and be there first. Aftershock, Tucson, doesn't matter, dies instantly, and then suddenly you're seeing future kills, you're seeing the moment where SKT start their ascendancy. Faker realizes he's got another round of damage, and then Haru flashes in aggressively to get the pick here, and that part is fine until Naeon. You know, you'd understand the Azir not going for this play. He does go aggressive, and it does actually allow them an entrance back into what could have just been an SKT 2-0.
Yeah, that looked absolutely huge from Naeon. And Cuz is going to be gifted with Shelly here as well. 100% Rift Herald rate here for Kingzone DragonX. And this is after a spring where we often saw Rift Heralds not even picked up. This one is going to go down with still a minute left to get these turret plates. And yeah, exactly right. Cuz grabs it. He wants his ward totem back as quickly as possible. In fact, he wants his sweeper back as soon as possible.
And I think he wants something even more, Atlas. He wants more gold on his best mate, Rascal. That is what Cuz wants, because, guys, we've seen a lot of teams this week where we said, hey, this draft could work if you go topside. Just ignore topside and not play through a lane that could carry. They've picked this Kled for a reason, so I do like giving Rascal that love up topside to potentially just answer Khan in the 1v1.
Well, they're also going to pick up an inner turret here as well. Outer turret on the bottom side of the map still hasn't gone down, and SKT are going for a reset. Shelly is eventually going to get taken, but she's earned a rest after that bout on the top side of the map. and tempo well and truly in favor of Kingzone DragonX after a great start for SKT.
They're just so slow on answering that particular push. The fact that they have less turret plates bot side when 2 turrets went on down top side.
I think that moment just then epitomizes what just happened. I mean, that's a Sejuani counter jungling, and Olaf that had a 30 CS advantage in the jungle.
But I think that also was a moment that Kingzone have inflicted on every opponent they've played recently, where they're ahead of the play and the enemy is behind the play. And sometimes you can look at the enemy side and put your lulls towards SKT, but sometimes it's Kingzone being more aggressive than what we usually expect from a Korean team, and it's why Kingzone seem to be that bastion of hope. Even in spring season, when people were talking about the aggressive playstyle of IG and G2, Kingzone were looked at the team that was the most like those aggressive teams around the world.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of their play does look a lot like that, which is why you have to say that they would be favorites here, because Afrika have been outspoken in the fact that they've been copying it. Meanwhile, hold the thought as Deft and Tucson in trouble. Featherstorm is here. There's going to be 5 members of SKT down on the bottom side. Deft has already flashed. Tucson, Battle Dances, gets out of the way, unable to keep himself alive as the burn from the red buff is in. For Kingzone, they lose 1, and SKT invest 5.
And Deft stays alive, but has to use everything. So there's definitely a cost to this. Tucson knew his job was to try to keep his AD carry alive. Boyfriend goes down. Girlfriend lives. Kingzone gets some pushing happening on other parts of the map, but one of the reasons that could be a 5-man collapse is that Rascal had no teleport and already had gotten all the objectives topside.
Yeah, and it also was Neon rotating down here at the same time, but there's control vision everywhere. SKT knew how aggressively they could go, and Deft doesn't actually get very much feather value here, leaving them on the ground, as you can see, after the Feather Storm. So, a little bit rough.
Tucson almost got out from what was a 4 to 5-man surround because the aftershock, right? If that extra Battle Dance shield was another 50 HP, he would have lived, which would have been insane. Faker just doesn't like boars very much, apparently.
Nope. Cuz is going to get over the wall there, though, pretty comfortably. Realm Warp, just to get Faker towards the minion wave, because Rascal's able to joust his way out.
You're a bit frustrated there if you're Faker. You at least wanted to get the ultimate out of the Kled, but
yeah,
weren't able to draw it.
Ain't no way that Kingzone are going to use a charge defensively. That's it's not how that works. In fact, impossible, as you have to target something in order to make it work.
You can go defensively, though. You can target the area. You don't have to target
enemy. Yeah, that's true.
It's not an enemy cast, so can definitely charge away, just like good old Scion.
Yep. Thinking more about the fact that if you do target someone, you're going, and there's a no turning back.
I'm all for go buttons.
Yep. And that's exactly what Kingzone have shown that they're all about as well. In their 4 victories so far, it's been go, go, go. And right now they have a 1,000 gold lead, but they're losing in the Realm of the Drakes, which means that SKT will have that scaling advantage, which is super scary, because Kingzone haven't been that squad that's able to keep on the gas against SKT.
And I want to make it clear, go, go, go is just mindless fighting. Go first is what Kingzone have been doing. They've been the first in many different areas. First turret dive, I think it was subverted, but they've always kind of known when they're strong, when they're weak, and pulled the button at the right time. With early item purchases here, the high AP, Azir is up, they're going for an engage.
Yeah, they're looking for it one more time. Cuz held onto the ultimate as in goes Rascal, the charge is in, but the Emperor's Divide finds absolutely nothing, and Tucson has to battle dance his way out. Rascal has to flash as Khan has the World Ender. He's taking things into his own hands as the Infernal Chains pull Rascal back, but the Aatrox can't find anything more, and Kingzone successfully disengaged.
This time, Kingzone can't actually force anything with their Emperor's Divide. Even through the charge, they couldn't bring anyone to their side. They had a flash out of Teddy, a flash out of Khan Aggressive, and a flash out of Faker. But until those cooldowns are back, those are the only things they can claim, with Infernal looming large.
Yeah, well, Teddy and Deft are facing off in the mid lane. Teleport back here from Rascal to get him onto this Infernal Drake. Khan able to Umbral Dash over the wall, but it looks like SKT won't have enough people available to defend this, and it's going to be Infernal apiece for Kingzone and SKT, and this game just got a whole lot closer.
Where does it go? If we have 6 items everywhere, who do you like is an intriguing question. If it's pure 5v5, it is difficult to look past SKT if it's very much an open area where things are predictable, because they should have enough damage to kill someone in the front. The Rakan dying is actually so important if Aatrox gets his ult from that, and Rakan, Aftershock or no, is squishy. But if Kingzone can finally, in the 1v1, if Rascal has kill pressure on Aatrox, for example, if Kingzone can also pull off the turn that is so possible with champions like Azir, Kled, Rakan, and Sejuani, things can go their way as well. So it's definitely not just a binary 1 and 0 scenario. There's a lot of what-ifs, and these are both teams that have been able to next level their opponents this year.
Excited to find out how it is actually going to work. At the moment, we've got some item spikes coming in. The interesting thing for me is the fact that Xayah hasn't strayed away from Rapid Fire Cannon second very often, but Deft has decided to keep up with that 2-item spike that Teddy's going to grab on his Sivir. However, Teddy decided to go the other way around, so a little bit of mind games here between the two.
I actually think it's for an intriguing reason. Deft doesn't do anything by happenstance. He will start corrupting potion on champions, Doran's ring on champions that no one else does. My belief is he's gone IE for the 50% crit burst IE build to burst down the Aatrox before he gets his ult off. During that Rakan, who inevitably usually will die, he wants to burst down an Aatrox.
Well, Neon's going to push Faker into the wall. It's a good ultimate from Cuz, but do they have the damage? In comes Toos, and the answer is yes to the quickness. Does get the Ragnarok out of Haru, and they lose their man in the mid lane, and they get nothing for it.
Xayah, a burst 80 carry this game to try to burst down Aatrox. Is Rascal not spotted? Unsure if the control ward spotted him entering that brush.
Puts his own control ward down here, knows that there's no vision available there. Khan's going to spot it. Thought maybe there was a chance for a Baron because this is the new and improved Kingzone that just like to press buttons as much as possible.
Faker was very far up in the side lane again, 1-3-1. Rise expected, but didn't have the ward coverage to make that play happen, and it means pressure on the mid lane there. Doesn't have flash, still has his teleport up, but resources are going to have to be used as Kingzone continue to own the map.
Teddy clears out the minion waves very, very easily, however. And the gold is about no different at this stage. Feels like Rascal's more than happy to tank almost all the buttons that Khan has, and then he just gets Skull back and things are absolutely K. Tucson down here with him as well to try and help out. Haru feels like he's everywhere on the map at the moment. And have you felt like you've missed Klid this game, or do you feel like it's a bit plug and play between Haru and Klid at this stage?
You stare at the stat line, there's a lot to like, right? 4-1-1. I don't think Haru has done anything conspicuously good or bad in this match. I think he's just largely been as expected, so I can't say I'm pining for Klid or that Haru has been the next coming. I think he's generally had a good game. He hasn't looked awed by coming back in, and like you mentioned, he's no longer anything resembling a rookie.
No.
Multiple times Worlds appearances. It's just been a while for him in pro play. Something we haven't mentioned is that SKT, since the Dream Team, since the roster that people were refreshing their Twitters to find out the latest member of, they've only ever played the 5-man roster of Khan, Klid, Faker, Teddy, and Mata. It's their first roster change, and it took all the way to June.
Yeah, and you can see exactly why they're feeling a little bit nervous about it as well. As SKT do finally mix things up. At the moment, neither for better or worse, as Teddy is looking for Deft. Okay, Spell Shield comes in. Not actually popped, as On the Hunt was used by Teddy. Just, oh, actually, no. You're just yelling. Just going to go a little bit aggressive.
So interested to watch the next team fight, the Khan Engines, because of this IE and Essence Reaver high AD, high burst. Those crits come through build on whether Khan overrates his tankiness and they can take him down. That is so important. Whether Khan dies during Aatrox engage or not could decide everything in this game. Bot lane outer turret goes down. The outer ring has now been cracked by Kingzone DragonX.
And pressure on SKT shows that Rascal can actually win in this split push scenario. Black Cleaver apiece from both of these top laners. Cuz able to get out of the way, but Haru does steal away the Grump. His own Grump.
And now Haru has the stat line, the core items, the warrior, the Black Cleaver, but tempo junglers, how we describe Olaf, whether it was Cinderhulk, Redemption first, Black Cleaver first, or now with the warrior, it's even more relevant when it's warrior into Black Cleaver. It's, if I can be aggressive and people face check me, boy, do I do a lot of damage. If all I'm doing is chuck an axe to help wave clear and not getting to go anywhere on the enemy side of the map, it sucks. Here we go.
Yep, quickness comes in, but Teddy able to flash to get himself out of the way. Good spell shield there as well to make sure none of that CC is going to land, but On the Hunt and Flash now down on Teddy.
Def flashed as well to try to make that play happen, so I imagine the spell shield was integral there. I missed the interaction. Neon has his flash and his cooldowns up, so I wonder if he's looking at Teddy and licking his lips.
Yep, Rascal as well is in a good position to try and get a charge in here as SKT routed towards the mid lane. Neon gets himself underneath. the outer turret just to clear out this minion wave, make sure SKT doesn't have inside track and some free time with this turret. Does so successfully. Both of these outer turrets in the mid lane sort of indicate exactly the position this game is in right now. It's extraordinarily close.
And do we want anything else, Atlas? It's such a close best of 5. Probably the closest 3-0 you could ever imagine in Kingzone versus SKT 50-minute bonanzas. In that moment, no one had control wards, so even SKT moving up, they couldn't actually take over the Baron area meaningfully. So it's another back. As control wards aplenty on both sides, the BSOs continue to roll in. We're close to the pivotal moment. It feels like with so much rising action but no resolution, this game resolves on the next teamfight win.
Yep, we're holding our breath for the moment. Cuz spending some time towards the top side as Mata and Teddy getting some vision around this river. Tucson is removing it, however, to make sure that SKT can't get any free access to this Baron pit. Light Binding goes wide, which means Tucson can play a little bit more aggressively, and that is basically all their non-committal CC that isn't a Rune Prison. So keeping an eye on that cooldown is going to be very important here for Kingzone, and they know that they are the ones that are most likely able to take whichever fight they want, which is the Kingzone that we expect to see here in summer.
And if the game falls into Baron vision, Baron protection from both sides, kind of a seesaw, I want to point out that SKT can contest the pit a lot more reliably than Kingzone. The reason why I say that is on red side, through the red jungle, Lux can walk up and throw down Lucian Singularity off cooldown to get vision on that pit. So when they fall away from vision, they can actually check very reliably. A quirk of red side might not have much quirks to talk about. Everyone's so close on the mini-map. But the moment we're in, the moment of truth, I think is starting to dawn on both teams.
And I need to keep breathing, Papa, but I find myself catching my breath, waiting for a fight to break out. He's so close. 1,000 gold is going to be the margin as Kingzone set up for this siege. Good knock up onto Deft there from Khan, but the damage is still running through. But look at this.
Minion wave gone.
Yep, Sivir has got to that point where she's got a few items, Papa. So she can just eat up these minion waves over and over again. To the tune of a 10 CS lead. 25 minutes into the game, both of these 80 carries farming very well.
But you think of a different game where SKT also had the outer ring down, and then Faker's like licking his lips and taking a minion wave close to the blue buff area.
Yeah.
Instead, with top lane turret still up, it doesn't actually achieve anything other than Sivir piling on the gold, and she's got a lot of coin. The coin on both 80 carries is pretty even right now. Teddy versus Deft, right up there with Deft versus Ruler and Teddy versus Ruler as those superstars of the bot lane. Big shopping trip. I believe 3-item core done for Deft on next shop, but Mada's walking up.
Yep. Now that Prey is back, I guess you can mention him in the equation as well, Papa, but as far as the huge names are concerned, Teddy, Deft, Ruler, and Prey here in the LCK. Bang's left, so we've only got 4 remaining. These Deft and Teddy are both veterans here of the LCK, but they're still definitely some of the best 80 carries
I'm going to ask you to hold your tongue on Bang. It's a bit of a sore spot, given that they've just announced he's playing in Challengers this week.
I know. Actually, I don't mind that idea. I know it's a conversation for another day.
I know why they're doing it,
yeah,
but I'm still sad about what it means.
Yeah, the fact that this is a thing that's happening is sad. However, the reasoning in the current context isn't.
Like in 2017, when Mad Life couldn't get promoted to LCS, even though there was the context of his struggles in 2016 summer and it being 2017 calendar-wise, I was still sad.
Yeah, me too. I was very sad, actually. The Mad Life story was a rough one.
But now we get to hang out with him.
Exactly,
he's
right
here.
here.
Wow. The silver linings for us. Selfishly, we lucked out, Atlas.
I know, and also we're just thinking about 100 Thieves and just waiting for Bang to come back and join the analyst desk.
And we're always thinking about number 1 over here on the LCK broadcast,
yeah,
so we're feeling real good.
And number 1 is the global broadcast, okay? Just to be clear on that one. So, of course, Bang's back learning English so that he can come on our analyst desk.
Yeah. We still need an analyst desk.
Papa, we're being positive, remember? Okay, SKT still clearing out vision as our Kingzone is slowly but surely extending this lead. Nayeon up towards the top side is pushed very far forward. Deft actually happily moving his way up, but he can't do that for too much longer because these are...
But given the LoL state that's been enveloping with lots of vision being cleared, replaced, pushed, minion waves being pushed, and disconnected, this is where someone doesn't recognize they've lost control of an area, face check dies, and things change. Or a Baron is started, and the enemy team It's just kind of been called off for so long that they don't check in time. So it's in moments like this that people might find boring, that mistakes in games are decided. Right now, no obvious mistakes.
Right now, the Infernal Drake has spawned. This might be the next point of contention because it'll mean 2 Infernal Drakes for either side. It's so even. Even an Ocean Drake was picked up by Kingzone to make sure they even that out. This will be the next step towards one of these squads getting an advantage. Naeon moves over. The Dragon actually does a fair bit of damage here to Kingzone. They're going to take it down to half health. Does Haru have his smite button out? Cuz right in here is Faker's looking for the flank. Double Infernal now onto Kingzone as Tucson dives forward. The quickness is good. Faker can't find his way forward. Final Spark lands. Khan goes golden, but he might have to get out of there as Faker still can't get his way in. Rascal goes untargetable, gets out. Deft gets the first kill onto Khan eventually. These are so close, but that was a definite win from Kingzone.
Faker out of position, doesn't actually realm warp or find backline access because SKT can't actually force Kingzone to kite downwards to exit the fight, meaning he's just out of position, and the Stacy's used by both sides to try to keep Aatrox alive. He goes down onto Baron. What happens next?
Yep, Rascal looking for Skull to make his way back in. Does have teleport available. Marta. Yeah, Marta's going to move over. Haru's back here. Does have the smite, but doesn't have flash. He can't get in smite range. This is guaranteed to go to Kingzone. Baron, 29 minutes in, and Kingzone just turned an extremely close game into a winning game for Kingzone.
In a game of inches, this team fight was pivotal. Faker assumes that with Aatrox diving in, someone like Deft will kite downwards and he'll just one-shot Xayah in the backside. But instead, Kingzone, to their credit, they've got go buttons, they use them. Remember that if this kill comes onto Rascal on the top side and Khan gets the reset and gets his ability to get to Bloodwell, maybe Faker's in perfect positioning, but because both teams are aware, Kingzone used their 5v4 to never allow Aatrox to get access to Bloodwell. He can't rise up, he goes down, and so does Baron.
Yep, the exact moment was when it could have gone one of two ways, so still extremely close despite the result being so Kingzone favored. You look at the top though, 5-5 is going to be the kill score. This is by no means over yet, as Deft and Teddy are so close when it comes to itemization. Both of them now with an extra BF sword, but instead of a long sword, it is that stopwatch now in the hands of Deft. Multiple ways to gather that untargetability that he will need against Faker and Khan, who have put a target on Deft's head.
And now we want to see the adjustment from SKT on their next fight. They tried for the flank play, it didn't work. I think they need to use Faker to just, again, blow up that first target alongside his team. And you know the enemy's coming to you now. With the Baron buff, I mean, there's very likely to be a tussle next to something like an inhibitor.
Come on, they already knew that. This is Kingzone. They have an ability called Charge.
Agreed. And yet they did try for that flanking play that was high risk, high reward. You know, at those plays, you're either way out of position, lull Faker, or it's, wow, Faker got in the backline. How'd that happen? So.
And we've been seeing that more and more, actually. Maybe that's because the game has been speeding up, so a lot of the old flanking maneuvers that LCK teams used to be able to do no longer are as relevant.
And all the wave player that for a Sivir, you're still pretty good against Baron minions, but it's not quite the same, right? So, yes, in this case, this minion wave goes down. But can they crack the base? It's so hard unless you play 3 lanes against Sivir.
Yep, you're going to need multiple Sivers though, Papa. This is the thing, because we've got the 2-2-1 split with Baron buffs in every single lane, and something's got to give as Kuz is just playing between the 2 different lanes that don't have all of that invulnerability and untargetability. Okay, Teddy going to go down very low. It's a decent spell shield as the boomerang comes out. Khan looking to try and turn this one around. Remember, the stopwatch is still there. Infernal chains do land. There's the Feather Storm. Dodges out of the way of one of the buttons, but Tucson's not going to be so lucky. Naeon teleports in. Def still looking for more stopwatch. Going to be available. Doesn't even use it. Blade Caller does pick up Haru on the back end, and this is Kingzone just buying... What the heck was that, cuz?
Let's not talk about the blast plan. Let's talk about the overall play where Kingzone push up. SKT smartly make the all-in, just like we saw from Kingzone against Sandbox, but Baron buff makes it fine for Kingzone because they can push multiple lanes. The end result is some well-needed gold. Goes the way of SKT. They'll still be optimistic that given the gold lead's not 10,000, a one team fight might be the answer. Here's the replay where the late spell shield from Teddy meant that Deft was baited into walking up. Walking up does lead to his death, but he takes Haru into the death chamber with him.
And Haru did not have a low health bar moving in here. It's just there were so many feathers on the ground.
He didn't think he was going to die.
No, I didn't think he was going to die there, to be honest.
Remember, he doesn't have any armor, so
yeah,
he is not the tankiest Viking, especially to Xayah, who's now close to 5th item. Wait to see which one that is. Now, close to is not something we have to talk about with Teddy. Gold and SKT staying close means, again, one single fight could turn this one, even though Kingzone chose to stay staunchly in the side lanes in that last push.
Yeah. The base was broken. That is something that we need to mention. Of course, Neon did manage to take down the top outer turret. So that means that the Sivir wave clear isn't going to be as relevant if Kingzone can get themselves another Baron, just because they can just brute force their way into the base. Khan, possibly out of position, does have Guardian Angel available now as Rascal continues his split.
They're going straight down
on the
mid
bottom
lane.
Side.
SKT smartly going straight down mid lane for an Ocean Drake. This is not what Kingzone want to do.
Yep, Ocean going to be taken. That's going to be 4 Drakes here, but are they just going to lose the base for it? Tucson standing on top of a ward as Lucian's Singularity is going to slow him down. This could be a gigantic mistake as Rascal isn't even on the base anymore.
They're going to have to go for a pincer here. They're going to have to use the charge. Otherwise, it's losing their him for free.
Yep, Tucson dies. Oh, the 4-man knock-up and the 5-man Empress Divide. See you later, SKT. They baited them with a damn inhibitor, and that's the ace, and that will be the game.
And that's a moment that's always a match winner in a 4v5 where Rascal doesn't even get there. Kingzone wipe SKT out of the rift.
Literally, Neon literally just wiped them into the death chamber. This will be the inhibitor falling. I may have spoken too soon when it comes to the end of the game, but man, this is going to be huge leads for Kingzone.
They saw the inhibitor. It was there oh so clear. They're going to tank the turrets here. Look at those death timers, Atlas. I think our first call was the right one.
Yep, 8 seconds on Marta, but what is he going to do is there is a super minion. At least one of the inhibitors did go down, but
all right,
Nexus turrets are going to fall. Nexus now going to be exposed. Final spark is exactly that, Marta, as you're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what to do in Game 2.
For a moment worth winning a game, a victory goes the way of Kingzone. SK